Welcome everybody. We're just going to give it another minute to allow folks to start joining us before we start our very fishy happy hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello everybody and welcome to our Fishy Happy Hour. My name is Casey and I'm the Executive Director of SR3 and you are here in our food prep kitchen. This is the busiest place in the entire hospital. You'll see behind me here Luke, one of our interns, and Taya preparing some food, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So we have lots of hungry patients on site, some of which you're going to get to meet and see how they're doing on their rehabilitation journey, getting ready to go back out to the wild. All of this is only made possible because of you, so thank you so much for being our supporters, whether that's through donations or sharing the word with others. We really appreciate everything you do to make second chances possible for these animals. As I mentioned, we're going to be feeding some of them today, so we're going to talk a little bit about what our patients eat and when they eat it and how we get them to kind of go from one source of food to another as they come in as very tiny babies, sometimes on formula, all the way up to big kids that are eating whole fish on their own. So let's take a look and see what's on the menu today. Let's go over here and see what Taya's got for us. Hi Taya.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about what you're preparing here.
I am preparing some Harbor Seal formula, and this is what we feed to our youngest pups when they're with us. It's a mix. Here you can see the ingredients of salmon oil, water, and a powdered milk that's used by zoos and aquariums. And we mix it all up. We want to get it nice and smooth so there aren't any lumps, but we do it all by hand because we don't want a bunch of air in there either. So this batch is about ready, and we're going to pour it into this pitcher, which is the scariest moment of prep. You definitely don't want to spill it. And then we will refrigerate this, and we will use it to feed our babies in the tent, who I believe you're going to meet in a little while. The youngest ones until they graduate to more fishy menus.
You can think of this like a milkshake. So this is their formula. They can eat this up to 5 times a day. Super high calorie, lots of fat, the salmon oil, lots of nutrients in there. And it's kind of the milk replacer. So when they don't have mom, this is what we're feeding them. Now once they've kind of graduated from this, they might move on to something that we affectionately call a fish smoothie. So let's take a look at what Luke's preparing over here.
Sorry.
Getting some ingredients there. You can see our large Vitamix. One of our very lovely donors sent that to us, and that's what we use to make these fish smoothies.
So I've been removing the spines of all these little guys, and we're going to go ahead and blend this one up. We have to make it very fine so it fits to the tubes, and it's 50% fish and 50% water, which is why I just measured that out, because I just finished the fish.
You can follow this recipe along at home if you like.
I would not recommend that.
This is actually being made for one particular patient who's just having a little bit of stomach trouble, so not able to eat the whole fish at this time. So we're going to make this nice fish smoothie for him. This could also serve as maybe an ad for Vitamix. It does a great job of blending up even whole fish. So the fish cost us about $1 a pound, and the formula is a bit more expensive than that, but you guys can actually feed a pup a meal for $5, or feed a pup for a whole day for $5, and $35 gets them a whole entire week. So if you're able to, we'd love to have your donations today to help us feed these animals. As I mentioned, we have lots of hungry mouths. There's 18 patients with us right now. And they're all getting big and strong and healthy and ready to return to the ocean, and your donations help do that. We will often also add vitamins to these fish smoothies and to the milkshakes, as you saw, as they get a very specialized marine mammal vitamin every day to make sure that they're getting the nutrients they need while they're here in our care. Now, out in the wild, harbor seals do eat a variety of different fish, up to 60 different species. But here in the hospital, we're mainly feeding them herring. So now once they have moved on from fish smoothies, they will then go to eat whole fish. And I'm gonna prepare some of that for some of these kids that we're gonna go feed in just a minute. Is this making anyone want sushi? So here is the herring. You can see this guy here. And we do have them from small to larger sizes. Herring's a really fatty fish. You'll notice that it doesn't have any spines or very pokey things on it, which is great for our patients learning how to eat. And yeah, we are able to throw these in their swims or into pools with them. They start to learn to inspect them and see what they are when they're really young. And eventually they will start to eat them whole. So today we're feeding our patients in the 12-foot pool. There are 6 pups in there. I'm going to weigh out how much we need for them. And as I mentioned, $5 can feed them for a whole day and $35 for a week. So if you're able to make a donation today, we would greatly appreciate that. Go ahead and keep weighing these out. Each fish is inspected before we feed it to the patients to make sure that it doesn't have any missing parts or broken in the skin that could actually lead to disease or problems for our pups. And if you're able to make a donation today, there's some incredible prizes you can win. And while I'm weighing out these fish, Rachel, maybe you can tell these folks about the prizes they can win.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have these very cute seal shirts here. These are limited edition shirts that aren't being sold anymore, so this would be your only chance to get one. We have a few different colors here. We have the teal one that I'm wearing. There's a blue and a green. And again, if you can donate $35 to feed a seal for a week, then you'll be entered to win one of these shirts. Looks like Casey's maybe almost done weighing out the fish over there.
Almost. We're up to about 4.6 pounds. We're going to get a little over 5 pounds here to feed all these kids in the pool. This will be their 3rd meal for the day. They're going to eat, these guys are eating 4 times a day right now. All right, so I think we have all of our fish ready to go. And we're going to go out to the pools and give them their dinner and also see some kids that are learning to eat fish, kind of the process that they're going through. So let's head on out. Anyone have any questions for us?
Yeah, so a few people are just wondering who's getting dinner? Who are we going to feed?
We are going to feed quite a few of our patients that are in this 12-foot pool here in just a few minutes. But first we're going to meet some of our smaller patients that are in fish school. We're going to be feeding Mike, Andre, and Momoa. And then we're going to come out to the big pool and we're going to feed Harper, Scout, Stanley, and Rainier. And I'm going to see if you guys can tell me which one you think Rainier, who's been here the longest, might be. So that'll be your challenge for when we're out by the pool.
How many times a day do these seals eat, Casey?
Well, the bigger kids are eating 4 times a day, and the smaller kids are eating 5 times a day. You hear them making some noise? Sounds like they're ready for their happy hour fish. This is just our disinfectant we're stuffing in here. We're going to go over to this side. And it looks like Mike is already in his swim here. So in these blue totes, they swim 3 to 4 times a day. And this is part of the fish school process where they learn to eat on their own. And Mike actually just learned to eat on his own a few days ago. So let's see if he can impress you with his new skills. And again, $5 will feed Mike for a whole day. $35 can feed him for a whole week. Look at him sucking him down. And we don't really want these animals to know that the food comes from us, so we kind of just toss it in there. Because they're going to return to the ocean, and we don't want them to associate people with food.
Casey, Lori's wondering how old is he?
Mike is about 4 weeks old. And he was actually scooped up by members of the public because they thought he might be drowning. So fun fact, harbor seals can swim at birth. So he was in fact doing just fine. But unfortunately, since people had caught him, his mom was not coming back because they had him in their possession. So we were able to bring him in here to give him the care he needs until he's able to survive on his own. So you can see Mike takes a little bit of time to figure out exactly how to orient that fish. And then he does quite a good job of sucking it down. Nice job, Mike. All right, let's move down here and see how Momo is doing. Momo is a little bit further behind Mike, so I'm not sure he's going to quite show you his skills. He had an eye injury when he came into us, but that's all healed up, so now he's just learning to eat fish and hopefully going to be moving out to the big kid pool very soon.
Looks like we just got a couple of donations to help feed these guys. Thank you so much, Cindy and Deb, for donating to help feed these seal pups.
Thank you. So this is kind of part of our fish school where we hold the fish in the grabbers and then try and get them interested. I think he's more curious about what you guys are doing than his fish. Thank you guys so much for helping us feed them. They are usually with us for about 2 to 3 months, so it takes a while to get these guys ready to go back out to the ocean, and it takes a lot of food to do that. And this is our first ever fish drive to help supply the food for them.
How long are they usually in fish school?
Fish school usually takes about a week. We do have some slow learners that might take about a week and a half to 2 weeks, but it tends to be very instinctual and they pick it up pretty quick. All right, we're gonna leave Momo to see if he'll play with that fish and figure it out on his own. If not, he will be assisted to eat a little while later. And over here, this is Andre. Andre is just now learning about fish. He came to us with some dog bites, or what we think might be dog bites, and he has a broken toe, so he's still recovering with that. But he's gained a lot of weight already just being on his fishy milkshakes. But now it's time to put his big boy pants on and see if he can figure out how to eat whole fish. So the way that seals hunt is by using their whiskers. So a lot of times out in the Salish Seas, our waters are murky and they can't quite see very well. If you can see his long whiskers, that's what he uses to feel for fish swimming in the water. That's how they'll detect their next meal out in the wild. More questions?
So do we ever bottle feed the seals?
We don't, because we want these guys to have minimal human interaction. So bottle feeding that would tend to have them bond with us a bit more. So we use tubes that actually are inserted into their mouth, and that way they don't have a nice bond with us, unfortunately.
Looks like we have a few more people joining us, so thank you all for joining. We're just trying to raise money to feed the seal pups here, so just a reminder, if you can donate $5, that will feed one of these seal pups for a whole day.
All right, let's head out to our large pools, which is where these guys will go once they graduate fish school. But once they get out to these very large outdoor pools, that's when they start interacting with other harbor seals, and they're able to start competing for food and gaining lots of muscle and weight so that they're ready to go back out to the ocean.
So somebody was just asking Casey whether they stay in the blue tubs all the time, so I think you just answered that.
Oh,
no,
yeah. No. They do when they're very small, and then as they get bigger, Then we'll move to these large outdoor pools. You can see everybody here is eagerly awaiting their happy hour dinner. You guys will notice those dots on their heads. Those are what we call hat tags, and it's just a way to identify who is who. Can you guys see which one may have been here the longest? Any guesses? Anybody guessing?
Not yet. Everybody's just admiring how cute they all are.
Well, the one on the right, who's the largest, you can see him there with the little blue dot on his head. That is Rainier, and he's been with us the longest. He was ready to go back out to the ocean, but unfortunately, somebody scratched his eye. So he's been here with us a couple weeks longer than we would normally keep them. Typically, they weigh about 40 pounds when we release them, and he's just a tad over that. All right, these guys are hungry, so let's move on in and get them their dinner. Again, $5 can feed these guys a meal. $35 can feed them for the whole week. Get everybody in the pool here. Right. I'm going to stand back and we are just going to throw this whole thing in so they can all compete for their food. This is how they show you how much they appreciate your support, by chowing down on their dinner super fast.
Casey Cody's wondering, how do we get them from the blue tubs into the pools? How are they transported over here?
We transport them in totes. So they go into a tote or like a kennel, like a dog kennel, and then we carry them over here to put them in. See, these guys are hungry and chowing down pretty quick. $5 can help feed them for the whole day, get them nice and fat and healthy, ready to go back out to the ocean. All of these animals are here, well, a little competition there, because of human interaction. So we're getting them ready to go back out after they've unfortunately been impacted by humans. You can see there's some floating green stuff in there. That's fake kelp. It's an enrichment object for them. And you can see their happy hour did not take not even 2 minutes. They eat really quick. If they don't eat it really fast, somebody else is gonna get it. These guys are all showing you how harbor seals move. You can see their back flippers going back and forth pretty quickly there. Versus their front flippers just kind of steering. The back flippers are more for locomotion.
What kind of water is in the pool?
They are in salt water. All right, we're gonna move back out so they don't get too excited and think they might be getting more. Looks like some are coming out for seconds already. Got it. Show the guys in the 8-foot pool there too. So these smaller patients over here, they have just learned to eat, so they aren't quite ready to compete with the big kids. You'll notice some of them have eye injuries that are healing. We've even had an ophthalmologist come in to take a look at them. So they're getting top-notch care.
Aaron just donated. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you to everyone who's donating right now and donates to help keep these animals healthy and growing strong. They're all saying thank you.
Somebody just asked Casey, do they only eat one fish each?
Oh gosh, no. Go ahead. So these animals, sorry guys, we're moving through it, but these guys eat about 10 to 15% of their body weight in a day. So they get quite a few fish each, and when they're at that stage that you just saw, we do throw those in there so they can actually just compete for them rather than handing each one of them a fish. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our Fishy Happy Hour. I hope you've had fun seeing our patients and how they're doing. We'll hang with you for a few more minutes if you have questions. Really appreciate all those that made donations, those of you that are helping spread the word and helping us be able to take care of all of these patients. More questions?
Yeah, so Casey, where will all of these seals be released?
So typically we're going to take these guys back to where they came from. So this Tuesday we actually have a release of Scout and Harper, two of the seals you saw in the large pool getting fed there. They're going back out to Ocean Shores. That's the area that they came from. So normally we'll take them back to the general area where they were found sick or injured.
How many total seals do we have here right now?
18 seals. It's been a very busy season and we weren't quite expecting it to be so busy. So thank you guys so much for helping make sure we have all the fish and formula and salmon oil and vitamins that we need to feed these animals to give them that second chance. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah, so somebody asked earlier how they could donate. They didn't see how to donate. So the answer to that is you should see a little red heart by the like button. So if you click on that, it'll allow you to donate. And thank you all so much for helping us take care of all these hungry seal pups so they can go back to the wild.
Yeah, and you can also donate through our website. I encourage you to check out the website too at sr3.org. We have our gift shop there, so if you'd like to purchase an adoption kit that helps also take care of these animals, a lot of them have some very specialized medical needs, from the eye injuries to the little pup that's having the stomach problems. We're doing all kinds of things for these animals to make sure they get that second chance.
That's all the questions we have. Just lots of admirers and saying what wonderful work. And
awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys. We could not do this work without you. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll continue to do these live events so you can see these patients, see some of their releases, and those of you that are local, we certainly hope that we'll be able to see you here someday. Thanks everybody and have a great night.